Here we are in Woolwich Dockyard. This is where Henry VIII created a dockyard in 1512. What we're seeing are two dry docks, which are remnants from that period that still exist today, although they've been renovated over the centuries. Henry VIII built, as I said, started building this yard in 1512 along where the entrance to the Woolwich Ferry, the pier that connects the land to the Woolwich Ferry terminal. It was here, along that stretch of the Thames bank, it was where the Henry VIII was built, which was one of Henry VIII's prime warships. It was laid down in 1512 when this facility was created, and it was launched in the presence of Henry VIII and courtiers 2 years later in 1514. Henry VIII is regarded as the father of the English Navy. He inherited five ships when he ascended the throne in 1509, and at the end of his reign he amassed over 50 warships, many of which were built here. Henry realised the importance of having an English navy. Firstly, to defend sovereign shores. Secondly, to protect established trade routes. They were also used. The warships were used as gun platforms for artillery. They were also used for transporting troops, as well as heightening his power as a monarch. It was a way of asserting his authority, asserting his prestige, and showing off his wealth. Wealth that was squandered and nearly bankrupted the country as a result of him building up a navy and defences on the coastline. Henry took an active interest in shipbuilding, and that is why he probably chose Woolwich as a place to have this dockyard located. The Royal Palace of Greenwich is 3.6 miles to the west of here. There was also another dockyard facility at Deptford, where you could see from the palace and monitor building of warships. Many warships were built here in Woolwich. It was close to Kent, where there was many forests that could be used to source timber for the building of ships. As I said, the first vessel was Henry VIII. It took 3 decades before it saw action at the Battle of Solent in 1545. Many of these ships were top heavy and had to be rebuilt, or had design deficiencies. The Henry VIII and the Mary Rose were unable to get into the harbours at Dover and Calais when they escorted Henry VIII to the field of cloth of gold in 1520. One of the innovations that during Henry's period in shipbuilding was the introduction of the watertight gun ports on hinges, swivel guns. These vessels that were built for Henry's navy were the first that were able to conduct or could fire broadside against enemy ships. It's remarkable that the Royal Navy used this facility for nearly 350 years, right through the reign of Henry VIII, right up to the reign of Queen Victoria, when this facility was closed in October 1969. Sorry, no, it's not 1869, a correction. Among other vessels, notable vessels that were built here, were the vessel used by Charles Darwin, HMS Beagle. This was built and launched here in 1820. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert also visited the docks on 2 occasions for the launching of HMS Trafalgar in 1841 in the presence of Lady Bridport, who named the vessel. She was the niece of Lord Nelson, and in the presence of veterans from the Battle of Trafalgar, which is fought 3 decades before the launch of this vessel. Also, they were in Prince Albert and Queen Victoria attended the launching of HMS Royal Albert in 1854. It's amazing that this vessel, this site is not widely known. There's no display panels. Let me give you some perspective of where we are. So I'm standing on the entrance to the dock. Henry's vessels would enter this part of the dockyard. I don't know if I mentioned it, this part of the dockyard was expanded in 1540. This was known as the King's Yard. It's on various maps, these two docks. They existed for all these centuries. As you can see, this is one of the entrances to one of the docks. There's the Woolwich ferry terminal. That's where Belgate Yard was positioned, where the Henry VIII the Jew was built. Over the river there's a north bank. Beyond that then block of flats is the airport, city airport. And if we look west, you can see the Thames Barrier and Canary Wharf.